What's up, guys? We're back with another Build Beauties today. Now, of course, I have a top cutter from the South Kai event that just happened a couple weeks ago. Go ahead and say hello.
What's up?
I'm with Vinnie DeLuca, no relation, and he is, yes, he played Ruthless Hero Vegeta. Now, this is a deck I've seen a lot of people running. A very good combination. I mean, just with a lot of the stage pressure on the levels. Just again, there's been a lot of Vegetas, a lot of people playing Vegeta multiple ways, beats and PPV. So, Vinny, being kind of a local from South Kai, did you kind of feel like, taking this was like a good call? Did you like what kind of put you on this deck?
So, I was looking for a physical deck, honestly, that did something because I felt like a lot of physical decks at this point in the game just didn't do enough. Because I was on Ruthless Kid Buu going into that, and then Janemba, R Resourceful Janemba, and yeah, they just weren't cutting it. So this felt like the only physical deck that actually did what I was looking for it to do, which
So,
is to end games, of course.
yeah. So why did you kind of move to Hero Vegeta over like maybe Majin Vegeta or
Because I like it. I like the way the stack works. It works well on itself. And it has the backup anger condition that is not not a bad threat. It's always that if they set up a board state to where you get timed, well, you can actually work towards another win condition.
yeah, I was gonna say you don't include Unleashed or Gambit in your deck, and I know Paul Maria. I did a thing with Paul Mario, and he ran Ruthless Hero Vegeta as well, and he was really kind of trying to keep that NPPV alive with his build, and I'm kind of seeing that with yours as well. There are you do pack a lot of like the two anger cards that are available to Ruthless,
Hmm.
which I guess we'll get into as we kind of dive into the deck here. So keeping the MPPV alive, you know, did you win by any MPPV games at South Kai?
So honestly, my first two games, which was against the Mystic Gohan stack and the Majin Ruthless Vegeta stack, I won by MPPV because it against the Gohan deck, tried to go in swinging, and I found my attacks just weren't doing the damage. It wasn't making the damage stick,
Mm.
but he also wasn't hurting me enough to hurt my anger. So I'm just like, I guess this is just an anger victory angle. And then against the Majin Vegeta deck, it just so happened that we kept on going back and forth and dirtling, and neither of us got kill hands. So we were just, I was faster at angering.
Hmm. So you got two MPP. So first two rounds were MPPV.
Yeah. And then the
Interesting.
rest of them were just normal kills.
Alrighty.
Which I wasn't expecting any MPPVs, honestly, but it was a non-0% chance that if they weren't checking it, that it was going to happen.
Yeah. Again, I well we'll get into those cards when we get there. But to kind of start off the list, you ran three relaxation, three prideful. I know people aren't always on running a relaxation if you're running prideful. So what was the thought process behind including both those cards?
I mean, you can use them both, honestly. They both are win enterings. So, like, if you really want that good turn start, then you just go relaxation into prideful challenge.
You
Like,
did.
I think any red deck that I think most red decks should run red relaxation, honestly. It's too good of a card to pass up.
You didn't think it was like you were too aggressive, maybe to like want to see it. You didn't draw like defensively, maybe, or
So, I mean, I guess the argument is like back in the day, we used to say there was three cards you ran in every deck, and that was Visiting the Past, Confrontation, or Stare Down in Time.
mm,
And we don't have Visiting the Past anymore, but we got Red Relaxation, so you run it at three. I think it's too good of a card to pass up. It does too much.
mm. No, it's a very good card. I mean, not to mention a when entering combat crit can, especially
Yeah.
on the even on the defensive against like a Ginyu, for example, dropping a Goldo or when entering combat taking a Dragon Ball,
Hmm.
whatever it be, definitely good still. So, and an extra card in your hand's never bad. Um, moving on to your events, you opted for confrontation over like a sphere, red observation, and times wars tool.
Hmm.
Did you feel like Confer was just the better pick than Sphere?
I so again, this is might be or not confrontational. Jesus, this might be a hot take, but I don't like spheres. I think that the card I understand its use, and but I just don't believe in it running when I'm running my aggro decks. I think that it's too much of a dead card. Like again, even if they confrontation you or time you, as long as you're entering the combat, you can throw the card that they were gonna get the max value off of that, you know? And even if they time you, you should be able to do something else with that combat to further your win condition.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, especially if you're trying to keep the MPPV alive, I can understand going confrontation over it because at worst you're gonna pick like an anger hate card out of their hand versus Spheres like really trying to push the aggro.
Oh, right,
Generally like there's times where you're gonna play against decks that don't have events.
right.
Um,
So
so
I do apologize. I thought if the question was why confrontation over sphere, it's
yeah,
just because I honestly think it's a better card than sphere.
yeah,
That's
no,
yeah,
I think you. I no, I think I'm generally kind of in agreement with you on that, especially like
okay,
for like an aggro anger.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so it's kind of like you're not running Unleashed. You don't really have events to protect. You'd rather be able to enter, go into confrontation.
hmm
Have the hand knowledge is always good. So it's not. I think you make great arguments for it. Red observation. Uh, I think this card has to be staple for like red beats at least.
So I thought that that card was very cute. It's a very spicy card. It's just like the one of I know this is jumping the gun a little bit, but the red lightning slash.
Hmm.
But yeah, if your red physical beats deck, you need the ally hate. And I think that if I wasn't running Ruthless, if I was running that new red mastery that can make things focused,
Mm.
I think I might run it at two lightning slashes. But that one red observation, um, I could see where it's just too good to pass up. You know,
Did you end up using it at all?
I did not sadly.
Mm.
The only time that I faced a true Namekian ally deck was against Brandon Biggers. I didn't get to see any of my anti-ally hate.
Yeah, story. That sad story.
Yeah.
And of course, time is a warrior soul. I will say this about observation. I do like it with Hero Vegeta, especially because you can shuffle it back in and reuse it with
hmm
like his 2 through 4. So that's really cool.
Right.
Um, we'll move on to like the blocks here. You have 3 blocking hand, 3 brace. I think that's just pretty staple for Ruthless. And red in general. The evasive
Right.
maneuver and escape at 2s each. You know, I could see an argument for maybe more blocks in the deck, but did this work out pretty good?
Yeah. So like we the argument is just even in the aggro decks you run 10 blocks pretty much because the argument was like maybe you run red stops. Well, red stop is an event, and there's too much event hate right now, stuff like that. And we want and especially with focused running around like right now, that we want those blocks to block, and we want our blocks to do something when they block. And yeah, you could run more blocks, but I think 10 is fine. Honestly, that's a personal preference choice though.
I think you can cheat it a little bit with Vegeta putting cards back in your deck too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's my experience with Hero Vegeta at least.
So like in the games that I won, especially, which was the first half of the day, was I got to the problem where I couldn't actually shuffle things from my discard because I just didn't have enough in my discard pile, so the blocks were doing their job, you know.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Um, well, we'll move on to the next round of. So we're really getting to like the actual like stuff of the deck that matters here, the attacks. Of course, so we were talking before this video, and Vinny said originally that he wasn't running Devlo, but it was because he couldn't find Red Sleeper Hold that he threw into Devlo in its place.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I just think Dev Blow is a good card, and it's a meta call. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was the same thing with the Suppressive Strike. And I'm not 100% sure what I was supposed to be running besides Suppressive Strike, but Suppressive Strike is, yeah, it's just does a very, very good job in the matchups that it does good against, you know?
Yeah, usually I see people 3-ofing this card if they can, but sometimes there are players like you, I guess in this case, that only ran 2.
Yeah. Because I mean, I couldn't fetch it if I wanted to fetch it. And again, in the matchups where it was good, I kept it in my hand going in between combats. But I'm greedy like that. I know I'm greedy like that, and that might be one of my bigger weaknesses, you know?
Yeah. And of course, 2 dashing punch. I mean, this is like I think any hero stage beats is going to run this card. No reason not to.
Oh no, that card is amazing. Like I've won one of the games from beats with it just because you kill them before they ever have a chance to respond. And then one of the anger decks I won with it because I was like 2 anger at level 4. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna search for the heroic dashing punch. They skip. Heroic dashing punch. They skip again. And then I Vegeta's final flash, which is
Yep.
again, it's one of those things. Before your opponent can ever respond, you have so much pressure on them.
Yeah, definitely level 4. The skip on 4 is like
Yeah,
crazy when you're getting there. Um, and you did mention Final Flash. So you run it at 3. Of course, you don't run Unleashed. You do have
right,
Confrontation. The only cards I think it really, well, it interrupts your Mastery, but and you're level 3 and 4.
right.
But you can pop 4 off before Final Flash goes. You know,
Right.
Observation, Confrontation. I mean, you're probably going to lead those unless,
hmm So again, it's mainly because of it, it hurt if I'm using it. Usually, it's gonna hurt my opponent more than it hurts me
mm,
because I wasn't 100% sure what to expect going into South Kai because it's been a while since any of the separate metas kind of converged again, and we're not ones to really play on Octagon. I know that I was talking about that before we started the show,
mm.
so we're not really sure. We just play the way we played Z's forever, which is just aggressive.
Yeah, that was one thing I was talking to some of the East Coast players before they were going down. They were like, "It's aggressive meta in this down south. It's like gotta play shit that can deal with aggression, expect aggression."
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's what we do.
yeah,
We play aggressive when we play aggressive well. That's what I like whenever I'm teaching somebody about like if I you're asking me to teach somebody how to play, I'm gonna teach them how to play an aggro deck, and I'm gonna teach them like basically turn sequencing. As long as you got that, you can do well with an aggressive deck, I think.
well, moving on to the, of course, style attacks. So let's bring it back. I'm actually gonna move these around a little bit. Going back to that whole idea that you wanted to keep anger victory alive. There are, I guess, if I move this here, there are 4. Wow, did I miss double strike? Oh, I didn't even put double strike out. Oh, this is horrible.
Okay.
That's my bad here. But you have 4 2 anger cards in the deck, of course. We have red double strike, red furious lunge, 3 anger card on power for strike if it hits, and then aerial assault as a 2 anger card as well. So a lot of anger threat there.
Oh yeah, and Furious or Aerial Assault is probably like Aerial Assault and Furious Lunge are probably the two most MVP cards. Like I think they like of course Double Strike is the workhorse. It's just going to be there game in game out to do exactly what you want it to do. But Aerial Assault probably wins the MVP for just that hit effect is really good. Like it's
Yeah,
just a dig.
I mean you don't run all dig grave. This is your dig.
Right.
This is your
Yeah.
digging deck. You don't have static shot either.
No.
Did you?
Because we've talked about run a static shot, but it's just do you really want to run more energy attacks in this deck than you have to, you know?
Yeah, I think the only stage cost cards you have, well, you have 3 stage cost cards in your deck, so it's
Right.
um, definitely, especially with the light amount of blocks, I can understand not wanting to kind of commit to too many energies.
Right.
Of course, Powerful Strike again, that's a potential 3 anger card.
Oh yeah, and it's just also a very good card. Only only issue I had with it, it doesn't. It's a flat 4 stages. So if that was an AT, if it had the same, like if it was an AT plus 3 card, I think it would be
Oh,
like
that
a
card would be
broken card.
nuts. It'd be very
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah, it's. I'm glad it doesn't do much damage
Right.
personally from a balance point, but it's a pretty crazy card in, in Ruthless when you get it going there.
Oh yeah. And
Uh,
then Furious Lunge. That was a shout out from to Joey to he basically said the night before I was looking the cards and I couldn't find my red Furious lunges. I had to hit up another friend because Joey was just like, if you can't find the 3 red Furious lunges, you might as well not run the deck. It's that good of a card right now.
really.
And I tend to agree because just the fact it can't be stopped by non-style cards is nuts, and it hits hard when it hits.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It sucks that time still stops it, for example, and I guess
Right,
you can on the move this card back to your opponent's hand for what it's worth, but it's still like having a hard stop. As you were mentioning, having like focus running around. I mean, you might as well run the shit that's hard to block, especially if you're trying to stage beat.
right. I mean, because it does a lot. Because does it get around stuff like Chi Chi?
Yeah, yeah, non-stop,
Okay, yeah,
non-stop card.
yeah. Because again, I'm a little bit rusty. been a while since I played Z, but
Mm.
yeah, it's just I think it's a very very good card.
Two anger's never bad. And of course, double strike. We talked about double strike.
Yeah, it's just the game in game out. I don't see a reason why if you're running red you don't run red double strike almost.
Yeah,
Like
if your anger,
yeah,
yeah, if your anger or stage beats. I mean, maybe energy beat red, but energy beat red is kind of not. I don't know.
right.
It's okay. It's okay. Uh, Three precision strike. How did you like this card? Everybody I've talked to has really liked this card. That's been a red
Oh yeah,
player.
no, it's very good. I can't see the text right now.
So
But I
focus,
remember it.
raise your anger one, and then desperation effect, rejuvenate. X is your anger,
Yeah,
and then hit
okay.
banish X is your anger.
Yeah, so I loved the card just because of that focus. I think I used the desperation maybe once. But again, it's not the most flashy card, but it's a very functional card, and that's what I think is the most important.
Yeah, it's especially with Ruthless, it's really easy to potentially get down to that desperation effect if you really want the
Hmm.
rejuvenation.
Right.
You ran three Shattering Leap. I always hear people trying to want to run this card, and then they end up cutting it because it costs stages and it's got a hit. What do you think about it?
I I'm a greedy player, as I said. I I used to play red Ruthless Turles, and I respect the damage that this card can deal, especially like in the tournament. The player Axel Bailey
Yep.
entered in on me, and on defense I was able to set up a turn where I got the aerial assault to hit, and then I used the mastery to get the shatter to hit him with the shattering leap. Ended up doing something like 36 life cards of damage, no
Yeah.
prevention.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess another thing too is you can't tutor this card with any Vegeta's levels.
Right. I mean, you're not gonna if you can't reliably hit with it. Sometimes you just mastery it.
Yeah.
But if they see a red shattering leap, they have to respect it or else they just die. It's
That's
that simple of a card. Like that's the power you're talking about, and I can't walk away from that type of power.
Uh, and of course, you have three red energy blasts as your final three of. I believe you only had two collision, but your final three of here was red energy blast. I, I, I'm in the camp that like all the other red board hate cards suck, and energy blast is like the best one, and you have to run it.
Yes. Yeah. No. I've been a in the camp that you run board hate cards in almost every deck,
Yeah,
and I even if I have to dip into energy to do it, at least it gains you an anger. You know?
yeah. A hard banish is never bad either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Moving on to a bunch of the two ofs now. So you have a two of a shoulder grab. I usually see two of this in most ruthless decks. Sometimes I see three. Did it do its job for you? Has it been good for you at two?
Oh yeah, it's fine at two. It's again, it's a very cute card, especially against the anger matchups and against the ally matchups. It
Hmm.
usually does a very, very good job because
Yeah, definitely
you can
ally.
also double as the anti-ally. But against any of the anger matchups, all of a sudden your Ruthless Mastery is all of a sudden doing two anger. But I don't think it's that good because like I see people
You have
running
to hit.
around playing that. Yeah,
You have to hit.
I see. See people running around using like the red sword stab and stuff like that. I think this is just a better version of that, honestly. And even what they say, oh, the red sword stab has endurance 3 on it or whatever.
Hmm.
I'm not big on that card.
You'd rather have the utility.
Yeah, I like utility in my decks all the way back since I started. I
And
like
uh,
utility
and
cards.
speaking of utility, red power rush at two.
Oh yeah, that was another one that it was I think this was the one that won me the game versus the first match versus Behe because I was able to grab it from the deck and it just did just enough with the mastery.
Mm. And unstoppable,
Yeah, yeah,
unpreventable. So they can't even use endurance on like blocks, for example, or attacks that are physical combats.
right. No, it's very, very good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people rocking this out with Relentless, but it's kind of neat to see. It's nice to see this card coming back to Ruthless.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's good in Relentless. I just also think that it's also just a good red beats card.
Yeah. Um, I'm generally in the camp that I think red kind of has a lot of bad physicals, and it's just kind of like you're just trying to cram the couple good ones, and at that point, it's like, what do you need after that? Like you're just gonna throw them in accordingly.
I, I don't know, man. Red's got some of the best physicals in my opinion. Like sure, orange, but just like if you look at the what like this, the red attacks that I have in the deck, a lot of them are very good, in my opinion at least.
Mm. Well, you do have two red heal kick. Did you ever
hmm
want this at three? I feel like I like this at two myself.
I like this at two because as I said, sometimes you want to use it. Sometimes you want to anger out, and using that two anger it just hurts too much. But again, in that game versus Axel, I was able to oh yeah, this is what I used to grab the Shattering Leap
Mm.
because I saw my opportunity and I was able to pay the two anger, and I'm like, okay,
Let's
we
go.
got and he showed he doesn't have a block, so I guess it's time to punish that, you know.
Yeah. Um, red collision at two. Oh wow. So see, what the hell? How did I end up with? What in the heck's going on here? Yeah, this is just a mess today. Red collision at two. Um, you know, how did you feel at it too? Because like I'm like kind of in the camp of like, yeah, this is a cool card, but I never get it for its hit effect to actually do anything for me. It feels like it's win more if I land this
So
attack
it's less about the hit effect
and
and
more
more
about
about the vanish from the top of the
yeah,
discard
just
pile.
like pass and okay, cool. I'm gonna get some anger
Yeah,
now.
it's like if I see it first turn, I'm very happy because I can just do
Drop
the
it.
pass rejuve, have it on the top of my discard pile, and then say, okay, go ahead and enter. I'm basically guaranteeing I have three anger at least on the first turn.
Yeah. Um, and then of course finally one of lightning slash. Like you said, you were preparing for aggressive meta. You would consider maybe if this was relentless, you said you would drop observation probably for a second one of these. Did you end up ever
hmm
using lightning slash to any sort of effect or?
I think I use it for an anger because again, I didn't see too many ally decks, but
uh,
it's again, it's a cute card. I like my one shots to be some of those just look at hit. I kind of just won the game off of it, you know.
that's fair. So going forward, kind of looking at this list, you top cut. You
hmm
lost to Brandon Biggers in top cut.
No,
No.
no. So we drew our last game, but we played it out just to see how it would go. Did lose that game, and so I was just like, whew. It was just the allies are a lot. Allies are a lot, and then going into Top Cut, I played against Behe for our game two, and his
Uh,
deck did exactly what he wanted his deck to do.
skip
Because in
end.
the yeah, skip end, skip end, skip end, and I can't fault a deck for doing what it's supposed to do. Because if my deck does what it's supposed to do, you don't get to play the game either, you know.
Yeah.
So I can never fault somebody else for their deck doing what it's supposed to do. And because again, I stared down that gun before with Axel's deck. He did the same skip loop to me, but he didn't have a combat ender, and I ended up murdering him for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Their two lists were different by a fair margin as well, but even the MP levels that they ran, Dan having the combat ending on the level three
Yeah.
awakening Vegeta to pass, definitely pretty potent. So going forward again, you had said that the two dev blow was supposed to be sleeper hold. Do you think you would still go back to the sleeper hold, or did you leave dev blow
Uh,
in?
no, I would honestly switch that to Red Mule Kick, just for the fact that, as I was talking about, that people are running Wall Breaker again, and if you're an anger deck, you need a way to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have it in the main list, to be honest, when you were talking about all the anger that you're trying to do.
It slipped my mind, honestly.
Greedy, very, very
Yeah,
greedy.
yeah,
Triple
slipped my
shattering leap,
mind.
no meal kick, very, very greedy.
It just slipped my mind. I was just like, oh yeah, that's the card. Because again, it's been so long since I've seen somebody wall break me. It didn't matter.
Mm,
And call that me being rusty. Call it greedy. Call it whatever you like. But I didn't have it in the deck. But it will be there and going forward.
mm. Anything else you'd consider?
Um, no, I think I'm pretty like I was happy with how the deck performed, honestly. Um, because again, the everything in the deck moves towards one or both the goals that it's going for, either just beating them down or going to anger out. And again, I like my decks. I like my aggro decks, but I like to at least play a little bit. I guess it's uh, conceded to me to say like a smarter aggro deck than just because a lot of the idea behind aggro is people are saying, oh, it's mindless aggro, anybody can play aggro. It's like, well, then why don't you? You know? And I like the because it's just when you do things makes it more difficult in a control deck. I think most of the time.
Interesting. That is a very interesting comment.
Yeah,
That is a very interesting comment.
because
Hmm.
control decks are reactionary. You can react to what your opponent's doing. Proactive, you have to take a guess at what your opponent's going to do to stop you from doing what you're trying to do,
Hmm.
and how you get around that. And I think that's where the skill of it comes from.
So you don't think you would ever consider? Do you think you'd ever consider trying to do Vegeta without the anger stuff and maybe go a little bit more like into Unleashed Gambit?
We talked about it, and I thought about it, but I do like having the anger as a backup victory because I played long enough. I guess it's just I was tired of getting into unleashed fights with my opponent,
That's fair.
where it's just like I level up and de-level you. Well, I level up and de-level you. Well, I'm gonna do the same thing next turn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just got tired of all that, so I'm like, why play that game? Let's just let's go with the anger, and it again, it's pretty potent when it works out
Hmm. Well, you did win.
because it's not exactly yeah, it's not a slow anger deck.
Yeah, you did win 2 games by MPPV.
Yeah,
Did you ever consider Resourceful Block?
resourceful.
So that's the one that's going to drop you physical block, endurance 3, lower your MP level at the end of combat, raise you up a level to maybe like abuse
So
the level. Um,
3-4. Not
yeah, that
really.
too. I mean, it's abuse the level 1 for 2 anger, or the level 2 for some more anger.
So again, it that's not as impactful. I don't think that is as impactful as like level 3-4. I would rather use the higher stacked stuff because I think going to grab a card from the discard pile or going to grab a card from the deck
Well,
is
you still
infinitely
can.
more useful.
Well, you still can. It's just
Right.
um, the block just giving you potentially another action if you started the combat on a higher level to get you back down, or reset you some
Again,
stages. But
I think it's very good, but I think that the physical blocks that we have are more than likely more effective to the end of the deck than the resourceful.
fair enough. Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you're going for the anger condition as backup, you're not going to run stuff that's kind of bouncing you levels because you're not necessarily trying to get up to 3-4, abuse the bounce for like shuffling. That is one way to play him, of course, but you are more on that. I'm just going to beat. I'm going to gain anger. If you don't police my anger, I'm going to MPPV on you.
Right. I
So,
mean, the red escape is in there. I think it's very cute. Just because it can abuse that, oh, when I get to 3, I do this, or when I get to 4, I can go search my life deck for something.
mm,
But because we had another block in there at first, but then we ended up liking the way that the red escape played a little bit more at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah, I think Red Escape is like, unless you're like a turbo MPPP, pure MPPV like Red Escape, you should be running it. It's a free
Hmm.
level.
Yeah, because like they have the other red block that basically does the same thing as evasive maneuver. That's what we were running before.
Oh, yeah, I think it's like red interference or something.
Yeah,
Or
and it was very good, but I think escape was just again. That's a personal call at the end of the day, but I think red escape worked out pretty well because I got to use it once or twice to where I would hop up to level 3 and get something from my discard pile that would deal more damage than what I was currently doing at that time.
yeah, no, understandable. Um, yeah, well, looking over the list, I think it's really interesting. I think there are definitely, like I said, there's 2 different ways to kind of build Vegeta. You either have like that MPPV live there because he's just so anger loaded on his 1-2 and his 3-4 just can grab you anger cards, or it's like you do the unleash, level bouncing, level hopping stuff.
Hmm.
But again, you top cut with this. Like you said, oppressive Vegeta did oppressive Vegeta things, so you don't get to play game.
Yeah,
Oh well,
I mean,
you know.
I can't get aggravated about it. He's a we played I, I played against 2 oppressive Vegetas. I knew the matchup. It's just he ended up getting the game off of me because I ended up sneaking the game off of him earlier that day because I
Yeah,
think I won that one by 2 life cards.
yeah. Well, well, awesome deck, man. Honestly, appreciate you coming on here and talking about it. Like I said, I've noticed that you've top cut at events before. I think I was telling us beforehand. I know that I think you did TOP as well, I
Hmm.
believe, because I
Yeah,
think you second placed at South
Grand
Kai or
Kai. Yes,
something. Yeah, Grand Kai. I think it was. I don't know if it was, who won that one again, but
that was Joey.
was it Joey that won that one? I thought so.
Yeah, it was Joey that won that one because that was the we we had moved from the store back to
Yeah,
guy's house, and
fun.
both me and Joey were both on 0 hours of sleep because we stayed up watching Gurren Lagann the night before, just at the house, freezing.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta watch that at some point. It's on my list, but yeah,
That
man.
was the best.
Vinny, I appreciate it all, and thanks for sharing your list with me, man.
Oh, it's no problem. I hope to see y'all at Gen Con.
I won't be there, but for anybody else that's
Oh
out
wait.
there, uh, there is of course the turn. There's of course the raffle tournament, and then there's the main event at Gen Con, I believe as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought for some reason I thought I saw y'all's name on the list. I do apologize.
It's all good. Well, anyway, guys, this is another episode of Build Beauties. If you want to go ahead and check out more of the lists from some of the other players that have been top cutting this season, as well as some other features as well. If you'd like to get something on that list, by all means, send me a message, and I will try to get a deck breakdown with you guys. Anyway, take it easy. Peace.